Hey Sam, it's David Olkowetsky with ArtisanRevere. I wanted to put together a video for you. Honestly, I love listening to your podcast. It's great to hear stories of other food entrepreneurs. Because the space is hard, it's really hard. We work crazy hours. Whether you're a practitioner as a professional cook, or you're a guy like me who started a knife company. We're working our tails off here, and I love that you bring these great stories to life. So thank you. It's awesome for me to hear it. I really like the Luke's Lobster guys; those are awesome. Anyway, so I wanted to reach out because, like I said in one of my messages on Twitter, I think you're a really good storyteller, and I'd love if you like our product. I mean, if you love our product, if you like our product, you're not going to be interested. But frankly, every chef who's purchased from us has been, in all seriousness, blown away by the quality of our knives, and I'd love to just get a couple in your hands and get your take. I'm going to just do like a quick little demo right now, and then I'll give you a little bit of insight into the company, and then I'll just follow that up with some other details that might be of interest. So just like a quick little, this is how you tell if a knife is sharp. This is straight from the factory. I haven't touched it up. I haven't chosen the best one or anything. This is just, I pulled one, grabbed it. So this magazine paper is basically not even there against our edge. We'll do the same thing with a couple paring knives, just so you can sort of see. So, look, why don't I tell you really quickly first what makes the knife special, and then I'll tell you a little bit about our story. So right now we've only got two knives out. We've got a chef knife and we've got a paring knife. I wanted to start with the chef because, that's the primary knife that everybody uses. And that's where the engineering is actually really difficult because chef knives are long, and we use a very specialized steel called LMAX. So LMAX, so first of all, our company, we have a really big focus on sustainability. We chose LMAX steel. One of the reasons we chose LMAX was because this is not an exaggeration, it is 738 times less CO2 equivalent than close, but not quite comparable Japanese steels like SG2, HAP 40, ZDP 189, etc. Okay, so LMAX it's referred to as a super steel. It's a particle metallurgy. It's a particle steel made by Böhler Uddeholm in Sweden. The steel making facilities are electric arc furnaces, and which consume 9 times less energy than a blast furnace, which is what they use in Japan. Sweden is also 99% renewables plus nuclear, whereas Japan is 82% fossil fuel. So that accounts for the delta, the 738 times reduction in CO2 equivalent. But more to the point in terms of performance, because let's be honest, that's what people care about, right? Because of the particle metallurgy technology that Böhler Uddeholm is the world leader in, bar none, nobody else even comes close. They're on what's referred to as the third generation of particle metallurgy technology. Japan is still in the first gen. The US has one facility that's a second gen facility, but the other primary facility in the US is a first gen. It's a pretty big difference in the quality of the steel. So what it allows us to do is it allows us to grind much thinner behind the edge while retaining two very important characteristics. One is edge retention, meaning how long the blade stays sharp, and two, toughness. So I can literally chop through a 2x4 of oak, which is a very dense hardwood, a very hard hardwood, with no edge damage. And then still slice through a tomato with no problems, or slice through a piece of magazine paper. We've done the testing. I think we might have some videos, which I'm happy to share with you. It's not something I would do on a new knife that I would send somebody because it kind of makes the edge look a little bit blurry. It doesn't look as appealing, but yeah, the blade edge will stay super sharp. And then the other sort of aspect aside from the toughness is the edge retention. So LMAX steel hardened to 62 Rockwell will stay sharp 1.9 times longer than high-end Japanese knife steels like VG10 or even we've comped it to SG2, which is, like I said, it's the closest comparable in Japan. We comped it to a 63 Rockwell blade from Miyabi, and I think we outperformed by about 1.3 or 1.4 times. So significant outperformance and a massive reduction in CO2 equivalent. So, look, that's like our blades cut better. Our chef knife is 12 thousandths of an inch thick behind the cutting edge, which is just a hair thicker than the Japanese lasers. But we've managed to come up with a grind that, despite the fact that we're a little bit thicker than some of the Japanese lasers, like the Takamura blade that's 6.5 thousandths of an inch thick behind the cutting edge, we can still cut with 98% as good a cutting ability, which is truly, it was a very, very difficult engineering problem that we surmounted. So why does that matter? Typically, knives fall into two camps. You've got your Western style blades and your Eastern style blades, if they're done properly. And the Western style blades are pretty thick behind the edge. Your Wusthoffs, your Zwilling-Henkels, your Lamsons, they're like 18 to 23 thousandths of an inch thick behind the edge, whereas some of your Japanese knives, on average, they're probably like 12 to 15 thousandths of an inch thick behind the cutting edge. You have some companies like Takamura, I mentioned earlier, going down to 6.5 thousandths of an inch thick behind the cutting edge, using SG2 steel. Those are true lasers. They cut food like it's not even there. They'll cut straight into your cutting board without issues as well. But the really not so great part about those blades is they have extremely weak, the tensile strength for side loads is incredibly low. So any sort of microchipping, the fissure will grow very quickly. So those blades can only really be used by true experts who are just performing slice cuts, i.e. sushi chefs. That is not an American style rocking blade. It's not even like a regular way Gyoto. It is just purely a slicer. So we managed to get our cutting ability to within 98% of that Takamura blade, while having our blade at 12.5 thou, which is still thinner than the vast majority of very thin Japanese knives, while having the toughness of the Wusthof blades. This was truly an engineering feat. I'm still a little bit shocked that we were able to do it. But anyways, listen, so that's a little bit about our knives, about our chef knife. Our paring knife is pretty special too. We went back to the drawing board. We rethought up the entirety of the blade. So this is 1.1 inches tall. So you can hook your middle finger right underneath the choil right here. So you can see my middle finger is hooked underneath there, and there's no risk of me slicing myself. The way we detailed the radius is the first time anybody's ever done it like this. We found how to make it so that you'll actually use your paring knife far more frequently. We expect a pretty significant uptick within the chef and home cook communities in terms of the usage, the utilization rate of their paring knives, and sort of like a slight decrease within the relative to the chef knife, because for the first time ever, this thing is actually comfortable in your hand. This is also 12 thou thick behind the cutting edge. It's an absolute razor. It's like, look, I think it's a pretty sleek blade. We just got a couple out to some big name chefs, and the feedback has been really, really good. I'd love to put one in your hands as well. I don't think back when we were doing our Kickstarter last year, I don't know if we actually got a chef knife out to you. I'd love to get one out to you. I'll just describe it really quickly. This is called the choil. We round the choil in here so it's nice and smooth, so you're not gonna have a callus on your middle finger. And every professional cook who's doing a 10 or a 12 or 14-hour service, every single one has a callus on their index finger. None of them will ever have calluses with our knives because we round the spine. We spend a significant amount of time rounding the spine of all of our blades We spent a lot of time making sure our handles are perfectly flush. The Rich Light material is a 65% recycled wood pulp material. It feels like a really nice wood, but it doesn't take on the same amount of moisture. So the change in the material is significantly less than you would get with almost any hardwood, including like a cocobolo or a desert ironwood. It cuts really, really well, and it stays sharp much longer than the vast majority of other knives. We've got guys coming over from the Kramer chef, the Kramer Damascus chef, the Kramer Carbon chef. We've got folks coming over from, oh gosh, I mean, like all the Japanese brands. Kikuichi like was losing a ton of customers to us because like they're using VG1 and VG10 steels, which are 70-year-old steels. I mean, it's not quite comparable to using like a 70-year-old car, but it's not that dissimilar. The steel technology has improved so dramatically in the last few decades that it really makes a world of difference. They can't get their blades as thin as we do. They can't get their blades to stay anywhere near as sharp as we do, and they can't get their blades to stay to remain chip resistant anywhere near as well as we can. And everything we do is made in the USA. So look, I don't want to belabor the point. I think these knives are next level. I think you'd love them. I really do. I'd love to, put a chef knife and a paring knife in your hands. No pressure at all. If you love them, awesome. If you don't, well, you got two custom quality knives, and they're yours. Listen, if you have any questions, reach out. I'm here. I just moved to New York, from New York to California, so that's why there's so much sunlight in the background. And it's been great out here. And my team, by the way, maybe I'll tell you a little bit about my team. So. Our supply chain is, it's world class. It's truly world class. We've got, the only ones I am allowed to name because I have confies with them or NDAs with them are Peter's Heat Treat. So they're a world class heat treater. They're truly like, without a doubt, the best heat treat in the US, possibly the best heat treat in the world. Heat treat is incredibly important. Super, it's not, a lot of people don't talk about it, but it really matters a lot. These guys are great, and we spent a lot of time tweaking our heat treat protocol, and I think we've got something pretty special. So all of our blades are 60 to 62, or the current two, I should say. Eventually we'll come out with like a cleaver, and that'll be much lower Rockwell, and it'll also probably be a different steel, just because what you need out of a cleaver is pretty different than what you need out of a high-performance chef or a high-performance paring knife. And then we've got an ISO 9001 facility that does our profiling up in New York State. They are, I've been in all these facilities. My mind is blown when I go to these places. The quality of engineering and craftsmanship and like interested employees. And just as an FYI, I was an investor for 10 years, so I've been in a lot of facilities. These guys everybody in the chain is really, really impressive. We go to Michigan. We have probably some of the top engineers in the knife industry up in Michigan. They have a machine called a Siepmann grinder. It is a $1 million bevel grinding machine, which is crazy. Everybody in the industry tries to work with them. Very few do. They fire a lot of customers. We've been working with them for 2 years now, and we love them. They love us. I'm super happy about it. And I totally forgot. In Pennsylvania, right next to Peters, maybe about an hour and a half away from Peters, we've got this surface grinding team that so we have a tolerance, we give them a tolerance of 5/10,000ths on our blades. They keep it within 1/10,000th. Just so you have a sense, a human hair is 3/3000ths of an inch thick. So they're able to keep their tolerance to 1/30th of a human hair thick throughout the entirety of our blade. And then our guys in Idaho are outstanding, truly, truly talented craftsmen. Listen, I'd love to tell you more. I don't want to belabor anything. If you're interested, reach out to me on Twitter. I'll message this to you in a link. I hope you love the blades. I hope you give us a chance. Thanks so much. Have a great day.